The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, crackling through Earth's communication systems with the cold authority of the Galactic Council. Ambassador Choi Daiho sat at his desk, watching the holographic display flicker to life. The alien face that appeared made his coffee taste bitter. The creature speaking was a Vorthan, its crystalline features sharp enough to cut glass. When it smiled, which it did often during the transmission, the expression looked more like a threat than friendliness. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the Vorthan said, its voice like breaking ice. "The Galactic Council extends a rare honor to your young species. You are invited to attend the first Deathworld summit on the planet Kilthara." Daiho leaned forward. He had heard whispers about this summit through diplomatic channels. Every major species in the galaxy would send their best warriors and explorers to prove their strength on one of the most dangerous worlds known to exist. The Vorthan continued, its smile growing wider. "This gathering will demonstrate which species truly deserve respect in our galaxy. Only the strongest will survive to tell their stories. We look forward to seeing what humanity can accomplish." The message ended with coordinates and a date just 3 weeks away. Daiho stared at the empty space where the hologram had been, understanding the real message perfectly. This was not an honor. This was a death sentence wrapped in pretty words. Within an hour, Daiho was in a secure briefing room deep beneath the Capitol building. Around the table sat Earth's best military minds and scientists. The tension in the room was thick enough to breathe. "They want us dead," said General Park, his weathered face grim. "This whole summit is a trap. They invite us to their death world, we die horribly, and they can point to our failure as proof that humans don't belong in their club." Dr. Kim, the elderly scientist who ran Earth's xenobiology program, nodded slowly. "Kilthara is infamous throughout the galaxy. The few survey reports we have access to read like horror stories. Nothing there wants you to live." Daiho pulled up the planet's data on the main screen. The information was limited, but what they had was terrifying. Kilthara was a world of extremes: crushing gravity, poisonous atmosphere, violent weather, and life forms that seemed designed by nightmares. "The pressure alone would kill most humans in minutes," Dr. Kim continued. "The air is full of acid, the temperature swings from freezing to boiling, and according to these reports, even the rocks try to eat you." Captain Han Wu, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke. His voice was calm, measured. "What kind of numbers are we talking about? How many from each species?" "Small teams," Daiho replied. 4 to 6 individuals per species. The invitation specifically mentions that this is about quality, not quantity. They want each species to send their absolute best. Han Wu was Earth's most decorated space marine, a man who had seen action on dozens of hostile worlds during humanity's expansion into space. If anyone could survive Kilthara, it would be him. But even he looked troubled by the data. "Sir," Han Wu said carefully, "I need to ask the obvious question. Why are we even considering this? We could simply decline. Say we're not ready, need more time, whatever diplomatic excuse sounds good." The room fell silent. Everyone knew the answer, but nobody wanted to say it out loud. Finally, Daiho spoke. "Because if we decline, we prove their point. We show the galaxy that humans are weak, that we can't handle what the other species consider normal challenges. Our colonies, our trade agreements, our entire future in space, all of it depends on other species taking us seriously." "And if we accept and die?" asked Dr. Kim. "Then we die with honor, and maybe the next generation of humans will be taken more seriously because we tried." Han Wu leaned back in his chair, thinking. After a long moment, he straightened up. "I'll need a specific team. People I trust. People who understand that this isn't about glory or proving points. This is about survival." "Who do you have in mind?" Daiho asked. "Dr. Lee Nari from the Colonial Biology Division. She spent more time on hostile worlds than anyone I know. If there's a way to live off the land on Kilthara, she'll find it." Daiho made a note. Lee Nari had a reputation for being able to find food and shelter in places where both should be impossible. Sergeant Park Ji-nu from engineering, Han Wu continued. The man can build anything from spare parts and pure stubbornness. If our equipment breaks, and it will break, he's our only chance of fixing it. Park Ji-nu was legendary among Earth's military forces. There were stories of him building functioning vehicles from crashed ship parts, creating weapons from mining equipment, and once constructing an entire shelter from nothing but metal scraps and determination. Lieutenant Kim Yuna for communications and tech support. She's the best at making our systems work with alien technology. On a world like Kelthera, that skill might save our lives. Kim Yuna was young but brilliant, with an almost supernatural ability to understand how different technologies could work together. If they needed to jury-rig human equipment to work with alien systems, she was their best hope. That's your team? General Park asked. Han Wu nodded. Small, specialized, and each person brings something essential. We're not going there to fight a war or prove we're the strongest. We're going to survive long enough to come home and tell about it. Dr. Kim looked worried. Captain, I have to ask, do you really think you can survive on Kelthera? The data we have suggests that even the strongest alien species struggle there. Han Wu was quiet for a moment, studying the planet's information on the screen. Finally, he smiled. Not the sharp, threatening smile of the Vorthan, but something warmer and more human. Doctor, I grew up in the mountains of Korea, where winter can kill you if you make one mistake. I've served on colony worlds where the air was poison and the water would dissolve your bones. I've seen Sergeant Park build a functioning radio, from cooking supplies, and Lieutenant Kim hack alien computers using nothing but patience and stubbornness. He stood up, his expression serious but not afraid. The aliens think Earth is a paradise world, that we're soft because our planet is green and comfortable. They don't understand that Earth has been trying to kill everything on it for millions of years. Ice ages, plagues, volcanoes, storms that could flatten cities. We're still here because we're too stubborn to die. The room was silent as his words sank in. Dr. Lee has eaten things that would kill most aliens just to see if they were poisonous. Sergeant Park once built a working vehicle from the wreckage of 3 different ships while under enemy fire. Lieutenant Kim has made human computers talk to alien systems that shouldn't even be compatible. Han Wu looked around the room, meeting each person's eyes. The Vorthans and their friends think they're sending us to die. Maybe they're right. But if we do die, we're going to make them work for it. And if we live... He smiled again, this time with something that might have been anticipation. If we live, they're going to learn something about humans they didn't expect. Ambassador, Daeho felt something shift in the room's atmosphere. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with something else now. Determination, maybe even excitement. So we accept? He asked. Han Wu nodded firmly. We accept, and we start preparing. Immediately. We have 3 weeks to get ready for hell. As the meeting broke up and people began to file out, Daeho remained in his chair, staring at the image of Kelthera on the screen. In 3 weeks, 4 humans would travel to one of the most dangerous worlds in the galaxy, invited by aliens, who expected them to die quickly and quietly. He had a feeling the aliens were going to be very surprised. The transport ship Terra's Hope dropped out of hyperspace with a shudder that rattled every bolt in its hull. Through the main viewport, Kelthera hung in space like a bruised eye, swirling with clouds the color of old blood and poison. Captain, Han Wu stood on the bridge watching their destination grow larger. Behind him, his team made final preparations. Dr. Lee Nari checked her biological scanners one more time. Sergeant Park Ji-nu inventoried their equipment with the careful attention of a man who knew their lives depended on every tool. Lieutenant Kim Yuna monitored the communication channels, listening to the chatter from other ships. The Vorthan delegation arrived yesterday, Kim Yuna reported. They've set up some kind of observation post on the northern continent. The Bruthan warriors landed this morning and are already establishing a base camp. The Nexari hive ship is still in orbit, sending down small groups. Han Wu nodded. Each alien species was handling the challenge differently, but they all had one thing in common: massive, expensive equipment designed to keep the hostile planet at bay. The human ship was different. Smaller, simpler carrying gear that looked primitive compared to the gleaming alien technology. Other species had brought atmospheric processors, gravity generators, and force field generators. The humans had brought camping supplies, basics, tools, and determination. Atmospheric analysis coming in, Linari announced, reading from her scanner. The air is 30% sulfur compounds, 20% nitrogen, and the rest is mostly gases that will dissolve your lungs. Pressure is 3.2 times Earth normal. Temperature at the landing site is currently minus 40 degrees. But the weather system shows it'll hit 180 degrees by afternoon. Gravity? Han Wu asked. 3.2 times Earth normal, just like the briefing said. We'll be carrying 3 times our normal weight from the moment we step outside. Park Jinu grunted from where he was checking their environmental suits. Good thing we trained for this. 6 months of high-gravity conditioning wasn't fun, but it's going to keep us alive down there. The ship's pilot, a nervous young man named Ko Minho, looked back from his controls. Captain, I'm getting landing clearance from planetary control. They're directing us to coordinates about 50 kilometers from the main gathering point. 50 kilometers? Kim Yuna frowned. The other species landed much closer to each other. Han Wu allowed himself a small smile. They're making us walk, probably hoping we'll die on the way to the actual summit. Sir, Ko Minho said quietly. I could put us down closer. Ignore their directions. No, we follow their rules exactly. When we succeed, I want them to know we did it their way. The descent through Kalthara's atmosphere was violent. The ship bucked and rolled as it fought through wind speeds that would level cities on most worlds. Rain hammered the hull, not clean water, but acid that hissed and steamed where it struck. Through the storms, Han Wu caught glimpses of the planet's surface. Jagged mountains that looked like broken glass, plains covered in plants that moved too much to be normal vegetation, rivers that glowed with poisonous light, and everywhere, the strange crystal formations that the briefings had mentioned, structures that seemed to grow and shift when nobody was looking directly at them. They landed with a crash that bent the ship's landing struts. Ko Minho worked frantically at his controls, trying to keep the engines running against the planet's assault. Atmospheric processors are failing, he reported. The acid rain is eating through the external filters faster than I expected. I can give you maybe 6 hours before the ship's life support starts breaking down. Han Wu was already suiting up. Then we better work fast. Jinu, how long to get our basic shelter set up? Park Jinu was studying readings from external sensors. In this weather? Maybe 2 hours if everything goes perfectly. 4 hours if Kalthara decides to be difficult. It will be difficult, Linari said matter-of-factly. That's the point. This planet doesn't want us here. The 4 humans gathered at the airlock, their environmental suits looking bulky and primitive compared to the sleek armor worn by other species, but the suits were simple, reliable, and most importantly repairable with basic tools. Remember the plan, Han Wu said, as they prepared to step outside. We're not here to conquer this world. We're here to survive it. Find shelter, find food, find a way to live until the summit ends. Everything else is secondary. The airlock cycled open, and Kalthara hit them like a physical blow. The gravity crushed down on them, making every step an effort. The acid rain sizzled against their suit seals. The wind tried to knock them over with gusts that would have lifted a grown man on Earth. And through it all, the planet's native life watched them with hungry interest. Han Wu took the first step, onto the surface, his boots sinking into ground that squelched unpleasantly. The landscape around their landing site was a nightmare of twisted plants and moving rocks. In the distance, he could see the crystal formations pulsing with their own light. Atmospheric readings are stable, Kim Yuna reported through their suit radios. The suits are holding up so far, but we're losing seal integrity faster than expected. How long? Han Wu asked. Maybe 8 hours before we need to find better shelter or repair the suits. Park Jinu was already moving, his engineering eye scanning the hostile environment for useful materials. Captain, see those metal deposits over there? That's not natural ore. Looks like wreckage from previous expeditions. If I can get to it, I might be able to reinforce our equipment. Nari had her biological scanner out, sweeping the area. Multiple life signs. Most of them are underground, probably waiting for us to make a mistake. But there's plant life that might be edible, if processed correctly. Define processed correctly, Hanwoo said. Boiled in acid for about an hour to break down the toxins, then filtered through activated carbon to remove the remaining poisons. And you think that will make it safe to eat? Nari's voice carried a note of professional excitement. Safe is a relative term on Kelthara, but it should keep us from dying immediately. They had been on the planet's surface for less than 10 minutes when the first attack came. The crystal formation nearest to their landing site suddenly unfolded like a flower made of razors. What they had taken for a geological feature revealed itself as a living creature, something like a cross between a spider and a praying mantis, but made entirely of sharp, cutting crystal. It moved toward them with purpose, its crystalline legs ringing like bells against the rocky ground. Defensive. Positions, Hanwoo shouted, but his team was already moving. Park Jinu had his plasma cutter ready, the tool designed for cutting metal but perfectly capable of dealing with hostile crystal creatures. Kim Yuna activated their emergency beacon, sending out a distress signal that would let other species know the humans were under attack. Nari, instead of running or fighting, stood perfectly still and watched the creature approach. Nari, what are you doing? Hanwoo demanded. Studying it, she replied calmly. Look at how it moves. It's not attacking randomly. It's testing us, trying to figure out what we are. The crystal creature stopped just outside their defensive perimeter, its multiple eyes studying them with obvious intelligence. It tilted its head, made a sound like wind chimes in a hurricane, and then did something none of them expected. It backed away. It's leaving, Kim Yuna said in amazement. No, Nari corrected. It's deciding we're not immediate prey. We're something new, something it needs to understand before it attacks. That gives us time. Hanwoo felt a moment of pride in his team. 2 minutes on the planet's surface, facing their first life-threatening situation, and instead of panicking, they were already analyzing and adapting. In orbit above them, other ships monitored the situation. The Vorthon observers watched their screens with interest, expecting to see the first human deaths within the hour. The Bruthan warriors had placed bets on how long the humans would last. The Nexari collective mind calculated survival probabilities, and found them encouragingly low. But on the surface of Kelthara, 4 humans were doing what humans did best, refusing to die quietly. Jinu, how fast can you get us a basic shelter? Hanwoo asked. Give me 3 hours and some luck. Nari, what do you need to make this place livable? Access to those plant samples and something to boil them in. Also, I want to study that crystal. Creatures' behavior patterns. Yuna, can you keep our communications running? Already working on it. The planet's electromagnetic field is playing havoc with our systems, but I think I can adapt. Hanwoo looked around at the hellish landscape, the acid rain, the crushing gravity, and the hostile life forms. Then he looked at his team. 3 humans who were treating the galaxy's most dangerous world like just another day at the office. All right, people, he said. Let's show this planet what humans can do. Above them, the alien observers prepared to watch the humans die. They had no idea they were about to receive an education in human stubbornness instead. The bloodstorm hit Kelthara like the anger of a dying god. Captain Hanwoo crouched inside the emergency shelter that Sergeant Park Jinu had built in just 6 hours, listening to winds that screamed at 300 kilometers per hour. Around here, his team monitored their equipment while outside. The planet tried its best to kill everything on its surface. The shelter was a marvel of desperate engineering. Instead of fighting the storm, Jinu had designed it to work with Kelthara's fury. The structure was built into a natural cave opening, reinforced with salvaged metal, and sealed with a compound made from local plant saps that Nari had discovered. The design channeled the wind through carefully placed vents, using the storm's own power to keep the interior pressurized and stable. Temperature readings are off the charts, Lieutenant Kim Yuna reported, her voice barely audible over the noise. -60 outside right now, but the thermal sensors show it'll hit 200 degrees in about 20 minutes. Through their reinforced viewport, they could see the Bruthan warriors huddled in their own shelter about 50 meters away. War Chief Kai had built his team's protection according to traditional Bruthan methods. Thick armor plating and brute force engineering, designed to simply endure whatever the universe threw at them. Both shelters were holding, but barely. "How are our crystal friends doing?" Han Wu asked. Dr. Li Nari checked her biological scanners. "They've gone completely underground. Even they're not crazy enough to stay on the surface during this. That makes us the craziest things on the planet, right now," Park Jinu said with obvious pride. The storm raged for 6 hours. When it finally began to subside, Han Wu cautiously opened their shelter's main hatch. The landscape outside had been completely transformed. Where there had been jagged rocks and twisted plants, now there were smooth, polished surfaces and strange new formations carved by acid rain and impossible winds. War Chief Kai emerged from the Bruthan shelter at the same time, his scarred carapace bearing fresh marks from flying debris. The alien warrior looked around at the devastated landscape, then at the humans, and something like respect flickered in his multiple eyes. "You survived," he said simply. "So did you," Han Wu replied. "My people have weathered such storms for 10,000 years. You have been on this world for 4 days." Before Han Wu could respond, Kim Yuna's communication equipment began squawking with urgent signals. "Captain," she called out, "I'm getting emergency transmissions from all over the planet. Multiple distress calls." "From who?" "Everyone. The Vorthan compound is reporting critical system failures. The Nexari Collective is requesting immediate evacuation, and there are automated distress beacons going off from at least 6 different locations." War Chief Kai moved closer, his expression growing serious. "What kind of system failures?" Kim Yuna worked frantically at her equipment, trying to sort through the chaos of emergency signals. "The storm seems to have triggered something. Seismic. Activity is spiking all across the continental plate. The planet's core is destabilizing." Li Nari was already at her geological scanners, her face pale as she read the data. "This is bad, really bad. Kael'thara's internal structure is more unstable than anyone realized. The bloodstorm must have been the final trigger for some kind of massive seismic event." "How massive?" Han Wu asked. "Massive enough to kill everyone on the planet if we don't do something in the next 12 hours. The communication equipment crackled to life with a new transmission. The crystalline face of a Vorthan official appeared on the screen, its usual arrogance replaced by obvious panic. "All delegations, this is Commander Vex of the Galactic Council Observation Team. We are detecting critical planetary instability. Evacuation ships are being dispatched, but they cannot reach the surface during current atmospheric conditions. All teams are ordered to maintain position and await rescue." The transmission cut off, leaving the humans and Bruthan staring at each other in the sudden silence. "Await rescue," Kai repeated, his voice filled with contempt. "They expect us to sit here and die while they figure out how to save us." Han Wu was thinking fast. "Yuna, can you get me communication with all the other teams on the planet? Give me a few minutes to boost the signal." While Kim Yuna worked, Li Nari continued studying the seismic data. "Captain, I think I understand what's happening. Kael'thara isn't naturally this unstable. Look at these readings. The core displacement follows artificial patterns. This planet was engineered to be a death world. Someone or something modified its internal structure to make it as hostile as possible." "Who would do that?" Park Jinu asked. "Someone who wanted the ultimate test of survival skills," Li Nari said grimly. "But they made it too unstable. The planet is literally tearing itself apart from the inside." Kim Yuna looked up from her equipment. "I've got communication with everyone. The Vorthan compound, the remaining Nexari drones, even some automated systems from crashed ships. What do you want to tell them?" Han Wu thought for a moment, then activated the transmitter. "This is Captain Han Wu of the human delegation. We have analyzed the seismic data and believe we can stabilize the planetary core, but we need cooperation from all teams." The response was immediate and predictable. "Impossible," came the voice of Commander Vex. "Humans lack the technology for such an operation. The human speaks truth, War Chief Kai interjected, surprising everyone by taking control of the communication. I have observed their methods. They do not use superior technology. They use superior thinking. Another voice joined the conversation, the collective electronic tones of the Nixari hive mind. Explain this stabilization method. Han Wu looked at his team, then at the Bruthan warriors who were listening intently. The planet's core instability is being caused by pressure buildups at specific points along the fault lines. If we can create controlled releases at precisely the right locations, we can redirect the seismic energy and stabilize the system. Controlled releases? Commander Vex's voice was skeptical. You mean explosions? Very big explosions, Park, Jinnu confirmed cheerfully. In exactly the right places at exactly the right times. Miss by a few meters or a few seconds, and we make the problem worse instead of better. This is madness, the Vorthan commander protested. The risk is enormous. The risk of doing nothing is certain death, Han Wu pointed out. The risk of trying is possible death. I prefer possible. Li Nari had been studying the geological data while they talked. I can identify the pressure points that need to be relieved. There are 7 critical locations across the continent. If we can place charges at all 7 sites and detonate them in a specific sequence, the pressure waves should cancel each other out and stabilize the core. How long do we have? Kai asked. Maybe 8 hours before the next major seismic event. After that, the cascade failure becomes irreversible. Kim Yuna was working at her communication equipment again. I can coordinate the timing between all teams, but everyone will need to work together. No hiding in shelters, no waiting for rescue. Everyone contributes or everyone dies. There was a long silence on the communication channel. Finally, Commander Vex spoke again, his crystalline voice strained. What do you need from us? Over the next hour, Han Wu found himself coordinating the largest cooperative effort in Kael'thara's violent history. The Vorthan compound contributed their advanced manufacturing equipment to create the explosive charges. The Nixari collective used their hive mind coordination to calculate precise timing sequences. The Bruthan warriors provided the muscle needed to transport heavy equipment across hostile terrain, and the humans provided the plan, the leadership, and the desperate optimism that made everyone believe it might actually work. Teams Alpha through. Delta report status. Han Wu called into his communicator as the operation began. Vorthan team in position at Site 1, came Commander Vex's reply. Charges are armed and ready. Nixari collective positioned at Sites 2 and 3, reported the electronic chorus. Synchronization confirmed. Bruthan team ready at Site 4, War Chief Kai announced. We are eager to punch this planet in its core. Li Nari was monitoring seismic activity from their mobile command post. Pressure is building faster than expected. We need to move up the timeline. How much faster? Han Wu asked. We detonate. In 30 minutes or not at all. Han Wu activated the general communication channel. All teams, this is it. 30 minutes to save everyone on this planet. Nobody gets to be a hero. Nobody gets to be a coward. We all succeed together, or we all die together. As the countdown began, Han Wu looked around at his team. Park Jinnu was making final adjustments to their explosives with the calm concentration of an artist. Kim Yuna coordinated timing signals with the precision of a master conductor. Li Nari monitored planetary systems with the focused intensity of someone who understood exactly how close they were to complete disaster. 10 mini. Lieutenant Kim Yuna's voice cut through the tension as 7 explosions erupted simultaneously across Kael'thara's surface. The ground beneath Captain Han Wu's feet shook with a violence that made the bloodstorm seem gentle. For a terrifying moment, it felt like they had made the planet's problems worse instead of better. Then the shaking stopped. Dr. Li Nari stared at her geological scanners, hardly believing what she was seeing. It worked. The pressure readings are dropping. Core stability is returning to normal levels. Across the communication channels, voices erupted in celebration, relief, and amazement. Commander Vex's crystalline tones carried a note of wonder that had never been there before. Seismic activity is stabilizing across all monitoring stations. The planetary core is returning to stable configuration. War Chief Kai's booming laugh echoed through the radio. We have punched a planet and won. This will be sung about in Bruthen halls for 1,000 years. Hanwoo allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before turning to practical matters. All teams report status and casualties. The reports came in one by one. The Vorthon compound had suffered equipment damage but no injuries. The Nexari Collective had lost several drones but their main group was intact. The Bruthen had some wounded warriors but were in fighting spirit. And the humans were tired, dirty, and completely unharmed. Rescue ships are requesting permission to land, Kim Yuna reported. Atmospheric conditions are finally stable enough for safe passage. Tell them they're welcome, Hanwoo replied. But there's no rush anymore. 3 hours later, Hanwoo stood in what had once been the central meeting area for the Deathworld summit. The original plan had been for representatives to gather here after proving their worth through survival, but nobody had expected the gathering to happen under these circumstances. The rescue ships had arrived to find something unprecedented. Multiple alien species working together, sharing resources and treating each other with genuine respect. The sight of Bruthen warriors helping Nexari drones repair equipment, while Vorthon engineers shared their technology freely, was something galactic observers had never witnessed before. Ambassador Choi Daeho arrived on the first rescue ship, his diplomatic face carefully neutral as he surveyed the scene, but Hanwoo could see the pride in his eyes as he approached the human team. Captain, Daeho said formally, please report on the status of the human delegation. All team members accounted for and in good health, sir. Mission objectives exceeded expectations. I can see that. Daeho looked around at the mixed groups of aliens who were working together with an efficiency that would have been impossible a week ago. The Galactic Council is very interested in hearing your full report. Commander Vex approached them, his crystalline features arranged in what might have been embarrassment. Ambassador Choi, Captain Hanwoo, I must speak with you. The Vorthon officer looked uncomfortable, which was strange to see on a being made of living crystal. The Galactic Council sends its official gratitude for your actions in preventing planetary catastrophe. Without human leadership, all delegations would have perished. We all worked together, Hanwoo said diplomatically. Every species contributed to the solution. Yes, but Vex paused, struggling with words. The plan was human. The coordination was human. The courage to attempt such a dangerous solution was human. We must acknowledge this truth. War Chief Kai joined the conversation, his massive form casting shadows over the smaller beings. The human speaks correctly about cooperation, but the Vorthon speaks correctly about leadership. My warriors and I have discussed this matter. We wish to propose a formal alliance between the Bruthen clans and the human systems. Daeho's eyebrows rose slightly. That's quite an honor, War Chief. What terms would such an alliance involve? Mutual defense, shared technology, and cultural exchange. Also, we wish to establish a permanent Bruthen garrison in human space. Your people have proven they are worthy allies in battle. Before Daeho could respond, the electronic chorus of the Nexari Collective added their voice to the conversation. The Nexari Collective also wishes to establish formal relations with humanity. Your problem-solving capabilities are impressive. We calculate significant mutual benefit from technological cooperation. Commander Vex looked even more uncomfortable. The Vorthon Empire also wishes to reconsider our previous assessment of human capabilities. Perhaps we were hasty in our initial evaluation. Hanwoo watched this diplomatic dance with growing amusement. A week ago, these same beings had invited humans to what they expected would be a humiliating failure. Now they were competing to establish closer relationships with the species they had tried to embarrass. Dr. Lee Nari approached the group, carrying a sample case filled with local specimens. Captain, I've finished my analysis of Kael'thera's ecosystem. This planet is actually perfect for human colonization, once we make some basic environmental adjustments. Colonization? Commander Vex sounded alarmed. Oh yes, Lee Nari continued, cheerfully. The soil is rich in minerals, the climate is manageable with proper preparation, and the local life forms are mostly just territorial, not actually malicious. Give us 6 months and some basic terraforming equipment, and this could be a thriving human colony. Sergeant Park Jinu overheard and joined the conversation. I've already drawn up plans for a permanent base. The cave systems would make excellent underground cities, and the surface area is perfect for agricultural development. We could have 1,000 colonists here within a year. The alien representatives exchanged glances that conveyed universal concern. The humans were talking about colonizing the galaxy's most notorious Deathworld as if it were a minor inconvenience. Kim Yuna looked up from her communication equipment. Captain, I'm receiving a transmission from Earth Command. They want a full report on colony potential and resource availability. Colony potential? War Chief Kai asked, his voice carrying a note of respect mixed with concern. Earth is getting crowded, Han Wu explained. We're always looking for new worlds to settle. Kelthera has everything we need. Challenging environment to keep us sharp, plenty of space, and interesting neighbors. He gestured toward the gathered aliens. Ambassador Deho stepped forward, recognizing an opportunity. Of course, any human, colonial efforts would be conducted in full cooperation with our new galactic partners. We believe in building communities, not just claiming territory. Over the following hours, as the rescue operation concluded and delegations prepared to return to their home systems, Han Wu found himself in multiple conversations about humanity's future role in galactic society. The Bruthen wanted humans as military allies and training partners. The Nexari Collective was interested in collaborative research projects. Even the Vorthons, swallowing their pride, inquired about trade agreements and cultural exchanges. But the most significant change was in how they looked at humans themselves. The condescending attitudes were gone, replaced by genuine curiosity and respect. These aliens had seen humans take their worst challenge and turn it into an opportunity for cooperation and growth. As the human team prepared to board their transport home, War Chief Kai approached Han Wu one final time. Human Captain, the massive warrior said formally, you have given my people a great gift. Not just your assistance in battle, but a new understanding of what strength truly means. What do you mean? We Bruthen have always believed that strength comes from enduring hardship alone, proving individual worth through individual struggle. But you have shown us that true strength comes from making others stronger as well. This is a lesson we will not forget. Han Wu extended his hand in the human gesture of friendship. After a moment's hesitation, Kai reached out with one of his forearms and grasped it carefully. Perhaps, Han Wu said, that's what the galaxy really needed. Not another species trying to prove they're the strongest, but one willing to help everyone else be stronger too. As their ship lifted off from Kelthera's surface, Han Wu looked down at the planet that had been intended as humanity's graveyard, but had instead become the birthplace of new alliances and understanding. Dr. Lee. Nari was already working on proposals for the colonial expedition. Sergeant Park Jinu was designing improved equipment based on lessons learned from Kelthera's challenges. Lieutenant Kim Yuna was establishing permanent communication protocols with their new alien allies. And in the Galactic Council's official records, a new entry was being written. Where once it had classified Earth as a garden world, inhabitants of unknown capability, it now read, Deathworld capable species, approach with respect and opportunities for mutual benefit. The humans had been invited to prove they were weak. Instead, they had proven they were exactly what the galaxy needed, not conquerors or victims, but partners willing to face any challenge if it meant helping others survive and thrive. The Deathworld Summit had ended, but for humanity, it was just the beginning. The silver ship appeared in Earth's sky on a Tuesday morning. It was huge, bigger than any building humans had ever made. The ship moved slowly and quietly, like a cloud floating through space. People all over the world stopped what they were doing to look up at the sky. Park Jin-ho stood in the United Nations building in New York. He was Earth's top diplomat, a man who had spent his whole life making peace between countries. Today he would try to make peace with beings from another world. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. They're sending a message, said Kim Min-ho, the military advisor standing next to him. Kim was a colonel in the Korean army, But today he wore a simple blue suit. No uniforms, no weapons. Earth wanted to look peaceful. The message came through the radio in a voice that sounded like music mixed with wind chimes. Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Vilethron Confederation. We come in peace and friendship. We wish to meet with your leaders. Dr. Lee Yuna, the team's scientist, checked her computer. The translation is perfect, she whispered. Their technology is incredible. 3 days later, the alien ship landed in a field outside Geneva, Switzerland. The field was surrounded by flowers that the local government had planted just for this moment. No soldiers were visible, though Park Jin-ho knew they were hidden nearby. The ship opened with a sound like singing bells. A ramp came down, and the Adairi, first alien, stepped onto Earth. Commander Veltara was unlike anything humans had imagined. Her body was made of what looked like living crystal, clear and bright, with colors that moved inside like trapped rainbows. She was tall and thin, and when she moved she seemed to float rather than walk. "Welcome to Earth," Park Jin-ho said, bowing slightly. He had practiced this moment many times. Veltara's voice came from somewhere inside her crystal body. "Thank you, Ambassador Park. Your world is beautiful. We can feel the life energy everywhere." More aliens came down the ramp. Some looked like Veltara, others were different. One looked like a tree made of silver metal. Another seemed to be made of flowing water that somehow held its shape. All of them moved with the same peaceful floating motion. "We represent 12 worlds," Veltara explained as they walked toward the meeting building. "All of us live in harmony. We have no wars, no fighting. When we heard about Earth, we hoped you might be like us." Bae Soman walked behind the group, listening carefully. She was the translator, though the aliens seemed to speak perfect Korean, English, and several other languages. Her job was to watch for misunderstandings. But as she listened, she noticed something strange. The aliens talked about peace, but they asked odd questions. They wanted to know about human sports, about competition, about how humans solve problems. When Kim Min-ho mentioned that he used to be a soldier, Veltara seemed confused. "What is a soldier?" she asked. Kim Min-ho looked uncomfortable. "Someone who protects people," he said simply. "Protects from what?" "From bad people. People who might hurt others." Veltara's crystal body flickered with different colors. "Your people hurt each other?" Park Jin-ho stepped in quickly. "Sometimes there are disagreements, but we're working to solve all problems peacefully. That's why we're so happy to meet you." The meeting room was designed to show Earth's best side. The walls were covered with pictures of beautiful nature, happy children, and peaceful cities. There were no pictures of armies, weapons, or wars. "Tell us about your world," Veltara said as they sat down. Dr. Lee Yuna spoke first. "Earth has many different countries, but we all work together now. We have the United Nations, where all countries talk to solve problems. We've built beautiful cities, we take care of our environment, and we love art and music." She showed the aliens pictures of Seoul's gardens, New York's museums, and children playing in parks around the world. The aliens seemed delighted. "This is wonderful," said another alien who looked like flowing water. "You have learned the way of peace, just like us." "We had some trouble in the past," Park Jin-ho admitted carefully. "But we learned from our mistakes. Now we believe that talking is always better than fighting." This was true in a way. Humans had learned that talking was usually better than fighting. But Park Jin-ho didn't mention that humans still kept armies, still made weapons, and still had plans for what to do if talking failed. The aliens spent a week on Earth. They visited universities, art museums, and peaceful demonstrations. Everywhere they went, they saw humans being kind to each other, creating beautiful things and working together. They didn't see the military bases hidden underground. They didn't see the weapons that could destroy entire cities. They didn't see the war rooms where generals made plans for every possible threat. Bae Soman noticed more strange things during the week. When the aliens watched humans play soccer, they were confused by the competition. When they saw a movie about heroes saving people from villains, they asked why anyone would want to be a villain. "They really don't understand," she wrote in her private notes. "It's like they've never seen violence or competition. They think everyone naturally wants to be peaceful. On the last day of their visit, Veltara made an announcement that surprised everyone. "Your people are truly peaceful," she said. "We would like to invite some of you to visit our homeworld, Synthesis Prime. You can see how we live, and perhaps we can learn even more from each other." Park Jin-ho smiled, but inside he felt worried. Earth's leaders had hoped for this invitation, but they also feared it. If the aliens discovered the truth about humanity, what would happen? "We would be honored," he said. That night, Park Jin-ho met with Kim Min-ho and Dr. Lee Yuna in a secure room. "They trust us completely," Kim Min-ho said. "It's almost dangerous, how trusting they are." "They've never met anyone who wasn't peaceful," Dr. Lee Yuna added. "I don't think they can even imagine violence." Park Jin-ho nodded. "Which means we have to be very careful. If they find out what humans are really capable of, they might become afraid. And afraid aliens with advanced technology could be very dangerous." "What do we do?" Kim Min-ho asked. "We continue to show them our best side," Park Jin-ho said. "But we also prepare for the worst, just in case." The next morning, the aliens left Earth with promises of friendship and cooperation. The silver ship rose into the sky and disappeared among the stars. Park Jin-ho watched it go and wondered if he had just made the best decision of his life, or the worst mistake in human history. Back on their ship, Veltara spoke with her crew. "They are exactly what we hope to find," she said. "A peaceful species that has learned to live in harmony." "Should we tell the council?" asked the tree-like alien. "Yes," Veltara said. "I think we may have found our new allies." None of them noticed that their ship's sensors had recorded something strange during their visit. In every human they met, there were signs of something hidden. Brain patterns that showed readiness for violence, stress responses designed for fighting, bodies built for conflict. The sensors recorded it all, but the peaceful aliens didn't understand what they were seeing. To them, it just looked like interesting biological data. They had no idea they had just met the most dangerous species in the galaxy.